right, guys, so I want to give a special shout out to another awesome Stranger Things themed podcast, the Star Court Study Hall. 2 years ago, after season 4 aired, they had been covering all of the chapters, and I guess they've finally reached the piggyback. They have done relationship deep dives on all the show's romantic couples. They have gone on deep dives with historical and scientific inspirations, and they've even done personality tests from the characters' point of views. They release episodes weekly on Wednesdays, and it is available to stream on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. They are super active through Instagram and Discord. When they wrap up season 4 in just a couple of weeks, they'll be getting right into their pre-season 5 with tons of theories and speculation. And I must say, this is one of my favorite podcasts. They are a total hoot to listen to and definitely worth checking out.
I love Amanda and Marina so much. I think that their podcast is great. They have hours and hours of episodes to listen to. So if you run out of our episodes and need something else to listen to, definitely check them out. And we love following them on Instagram as well. They post lots of cool stuff. So definitely check out Star Court Study Hall. We are huge fans, and we are so excited to shout them out today.
Where is he?
Where are you? Skull Rock. Do you know it?
Hello, everyone. This is Stacy over at the Skull Rock broadcast. I'm joined by...
Hello, this is Megan. Welcome back to our Stranger Things podcast. We are, as always, super excited to be recording today. Today is our 25th episode, and it is our season 1 finale. So we are wrapping up the first season of our show. We are so excited that the past 6 months have been such a blast talking to you guys. We just have so much fun stuff going on right now for our Summer of Skull Rock. But for today's episode, we have a special treat because we have a special guest joining us. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce him. All right, so today we have Chris joining us, and Chris is filmstocked on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all the things, I think. So welcome, Chris. How's it going?
It's going good. I'm glad to be here. And yeah, filmstocked, that's the username I have. It's cool because we connected, I don't know how many months ago now, but we've been talking about trying to make this happen for a while, and we're finally here.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you joining us. So I guess we'll just get right into it because we're excited to get to know you a little bit better. So how did you first decide to start your YouTube channel? Was that what you did first and then kind of did other social media from there, or what was that like?
Yeah, so I actually started filmstocked in December of 2018, and I had a YouTube, or not YouTube, I had an Instagram. And I originally started out as like just doing posts of like movie stills, and I was in college at the time, so I would post like 3 to 4 times a day, like some shots for my favorite movies. And I ended up building that up when I started posting like clips or movie scenes. And then like 6 months later, I started a YouTube channel. I was like, I've watched people my whole like high school life and into college talk about movies. Why can't I do it? And so I had a buddy at the time. We started up a channel inspired by like the Schmoes Know. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but they're like this movie talk channel back in the day. And we did movie reviews and like Blu-ray content, physical media stuff. And then once the pandemic hit, I started to take it pretty seriously. Like I was always friends with my friend, but we kind of just went our separate ways doing different content stuff. And so I took over just doing filmstocked, and that's when I really started to gain traction. But it wasn't really until like summer 2022 when Stranger Things 4 came out that like a lot of things changed for me. I gained like a lot of traction from covering Stranger Things, and it's become like a huge part of what I do now. I always talk about like other movies and shows, but Stranger Things is like it's almost like 50% of what I do now. Like Stranger Things talk, and then it's like movie, Blu-rays, etc. So yeah, went from Instagram to YouTube, and then somewhere in there, TikTok entered the picture. It's kind of all over the place, but yeah.
That's awesome. That's actually how I discovered you, Chris.
Oh,
I
really?
remember my sister sent me one of your reels, and it was a theory about Eddie. And she was like, have you seen this? And it was the first time I like heard this theory. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy knows what he's talking about. So and an avid follower since. So
Well, thank you.
kudos.
Thank you. Yeah. I have to shout out my girlfriend because she's the huge
Yes.
Eddie fan who loves like the Eddie theories. And so she's always helping me out with those as well.
Yeah, she's super sweet too.
Yeah,
So say
awesome.
hi to Cam for us.
I will.
Now, what would you say, Chris, was like the coolest experience you've kind of had so far since starting this whole thing?
For me, it would probably be earlier this year, actually. I was able to go to MegaCon in Orlando, which is like a big comic
Ooh.
convention.
Yep.
And I had like a media pass. And through a friend of mine on YouTube, Sean Chandler Talks About, we had been talking. He usually coordinates some panels down there, like movie talk panels or hot take panels, just to like have on the floor down there. It's called the Creator Stage. And through that, he was like, hey, like, I think we could set up a panel, and would you want to run like a Stranger Things one? And I was like, oh, I'm so down. And so we set up a Stranger Things panel talking about season 5 theories. I was like running the panel and everything. And I was nervous because I'd never really like spoken in front of a crowd of people like that before. Like I've gotten on a live stream where there's like, 50 people in there or whatever. And like that number doesn't feel real when you're just looking in the corner of your screen. But when you sit down in front of 50 people, it's like, it's a whole different ball game. And so that was really neat. It was a full panel, and I had like a spinning wheel where a bunch of the most popular season 5 theories were on there. And basically we went through them all. And then at the end, we asked the audience to come up and give some of their theories. It was a really fun time. And then afterwards, like people wanted to come share their theories and talk. And so that was probably the coolest thing I can remember doing on YouTube, is being able to do the panel.
Yeah, that's amazing. That sounds like so much fun. And we definitely want to get into some of the theories for season 5. So we can look forward to that later in the conversation. And I'm glad you kind of said that about Stranger Things being kind of like 50% of your content, because I was wondering about that, because yes, you post a lot of Stranger Things, but then you also have other movie content as well. And I would say Stacy's probably more the movie buff more than me, but I do enjoy movies. And we were wondering, I feel like the past 10 years, I haven't seen a ton of movies. So what do you think is like the best movie that you've seen in theaters in the last 10 years?
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, recently for me, I go back to this movie a lot. Top Gun Maverick is one that like I can't stop rewatching. It's like the ultimate summer movie. Yes, I see Stacy with the thumbs up.
Yep.
It's a blast. And then last year, I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan, which I'm not ashamed of. He's awesome. And Oppenheimer was my favorite movie. Ended up winning Best Picture, which was really cool. But like past that, like going into like the late 2010s, I mean, I could pick out a few different ones. Infinity War, like I covered the MCU like forever. I still do, but I used to be like all in on the MCU. Like my last 2 years of high school, Infinity War Endgame came out, and it was like everyone was talking about it at the lunch tables forever and theorizing endlessly for that. So those two always hold a special place in my heart. And then like 2019 was a great year. Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Tarantino movie. So yeah, those are all some of my faves from recently.
Got good
taste. I'm terrible because I literally have seen zero.
This side of the street, it's me nodding, and Megan's like, yeah, okay, yeah.
No MCU for you, Megan?
No, so we've talked about that on this podcast before. We're like not big Marvel people, but we're going to have to watch Fantastic Four, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And I really think that if I tried them, I would like them, and I would probably get really into it because I know that's how my brain works, but like I just haven't,
Yeah, and like I feel like it is daunting right now to start from the beginning if you've seen none of it, because it's just like all the shows and everything. It's like homework now.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone was like, there's like 37 films, but that's not counting the spinoffs and the TV. And then we're both school teachers. So I asked the kids, I was like, who's Spider-Man? They're all like, Tom Holland. And I go, Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're old. I'm like, shut up. Damn.
Yeah, we show our age there. That's like the only Spider-Man movie I've seen.
Well, that's fair, honestly.
Tobey Maguire. Yeah.
That's fair.
even Star Wars, like I am a huge Star Wars fan, but there's so much of it now, like with the TV shows and everything, that I haven't even kept up with all of that. So it's like there's just so much stuff coming out, which is exciting, but also a lot. So,
and you know what? I feel like, Chris, you might feel this way. It's almost like instead of quality, they're doing quantity, and there's some really good stuff, but it's oversaturated with the MCU and Star Wars that we're getting so much that, some of it could have been better than other things. So we're kind of hoping that the Fantastic Four is like the shot of life that the MCU needs. But I know a lot of people are not too happy with the last couple of shows that Star Wars have pumped out. So
yeah, it's kind of scary because like Star Wars for the longest time was just like the 3 trilogies of movies, and then they expand into the world of the shows, and that's kind of where a lot of the divisiveness comes from, and that's where it feels like, you're right, they're just like, let's pump out as much as we can without really caring about delivering like an impactful story.
Mm-hmm.
It's disheartening in a way, because Star Wars, for me at least, I love so much. I grew up watching like the originals, the prequels, but then it's just become this huge toxic thing, and it's frustrating.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Some of it's great, and then just some of
Yeah.
it could be better for sure.
Mm.
So I think Stacy has an even harder question for you.
Okay.
Get ready. What would you say are your top 5 favorite movies of all time?
So I get asked about this all the time, and like it's always like the last few are always changing, but I have a few that are like consistently at the top of my favorite list. And one of those is just, it's Raiders of the Lost Ark, like the OG Indiana Jones movie. Yes. I saw it in theaters last year for like the re-release before the new one came out. And it was the first time seeing it on the big screen, and it was so cool. It was the crispest I've ever seen the movie, like the clearest I've ever heard the sound. It was awesome. That's just childhood for me. I watch that one all the time. It's like the adventure movie. Another one would be Remember the Titans. That's like my favorite sports film. And I think it's got a really important message. And it's also Denzel Washington, underrated performance, but just an awesome sports movie. And that's one that like me and my buddies quote all the time. Like there's so many just random quotes I pull from that movie.
I'm doing better this time. I've seen both of those.
Okay,
and I love cool. Remember the Titans.
Yes. Remember the Titans is like a movie that I still remember when I watched it when I was like 5. I was so excited. And I love football. Like college football is my favorite sport. So the high school football side of things, I'm all in.
The music in that movie is amazing.
Yes. And there's like a little bit of crossover with some of the Stranger Things 4 soundtrack too, I think.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I'd say another one of mine is going to be Back to the Future, which is like, it's a basic pick, but I don't care. That movie's awesome for a reason. It's like the 80s movie to me. And Doc and Marty are like just one of the coolest duos. The DeLorean, everything about that movie is just so cool. So I'm at 3 right now.
Yeah.
This one's more recent, but The Social Network, it came out in 2010.
Yeah.
I watch that movie all the time, especially with my girlfriend. Like, if you want to kill 2 hours, we say, just throw on The Social Network. It flies by. And then the final one, I kind of just say this one as like a wild card, but I don't shine a light on like holiday movies enough, like Christmas movies. And I got to go with Home Alone, because it's like a movie growing up that I literally watched in the car ride, like in June. My family had like a portable DVD player that plugged into like the cigarette lighter, and I had Home Alone, and I just watched that. Like, it didn't matter what time of year it was. Of course, it's a must watch for me in the Christmas season, but Home Alone is going to take the 5th spot for me.
Yeah, we just talked about Home Alone last week because we were rewatching season 1 and we were on the season finale when they're like setting up the bear trap and all of that. We were like, this is so Home Alone coded with the yo-yo.
Uh-huh.
It was fun. Yeah, that's a great list. Do you have anything to say about that list, Stacy?
I'm very impressed. Stacy approved 100%.
Okay, so help me out. What do I need to see this year? So what's your most anticipated movie for like the rest of this year into next year?
Yeah, so I have one that, like, based on our previous conversation about Marvel, it might not be something you should see because you might be confused, but Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm very, very pumped for that one. But outside of that, like near the end of this year, November, we still haven't got a trailer and we need to. Gladiator 2, which I think both of you will have your interest peaked because Joseph Quinn is starring in it.
I'm telling you, I was a massive Gladiator fan before this, and the fact that they got Ridley Scott to come back, that was my seal of approval. Like, of course, Joseph Quinn and the packed cast that they got.
Yeah.
But the fact that Ridley came back for it, I was like, we're in good hands.
Yeah.
Woo!
I think that one's going to be great. And I'm ready for the trailer. You know, Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal, Joseph Quinn, Paul Mescal, like stacked cast. It has like a real expensive budget. Apparently it has some really cool like fight sequences. So that I think that comes out in November. I'm ready for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I guess for like 2025, real quick, Fantastic Four, obviously, very pumped for that. And then there's this other movie, shout out, it's starring Leonardo DiCaprio. It's directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. It doesn't have a title yet, but he's a director who I like some of his work. And I think it's like a different type of movie for that director to do, like an action heist movie or something.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. All right, so let's get into Stranger Things.
Let's do it.
What made you originally become a fan of Stranger Things?
So for me, I first watched Stranger Things like the week it came out on Netflix. I was working. I was summer between, for me, I'm a young gun. It was between my sophomore and junior year of high school. So for starters, I was just scrolling on Netflix one day and I saw like the trailer pop up. It's like a sprinkler head. It's like, and I was like, oh, what's this? And I watched like the whole trailer. I was like, I'll watch this. And then I started it. I watched, I think, 3 or 4 episodes. I was hooked. And then I watched it the next day, like the next night. So I split it up into 2 days. So I just found it on Netflix like very early on. And I was like, this show's awesome. And I saw people also talking about it on social media. And at the time I was like, honestly, this would function best if they did not expand the world. I was like, this would be best if it was just this one season. A little did I know. But no, what really got me to be a fan was just, like I mentioned with my favorite movies, a lot of them are from the 80s. And I could tell there was so much heart put into the project. They pulled from some of my favorite movies. Like there's elements of Jaws in there. There's even elements of like Indy and Hopper. And then of course there's like the horror side of things as well, which was neat to see. But something about the show at that time in my life, like I felt like it connected with me because I was in high school. And so like I could see myself in certain characters and relate to the story so well that I fell in love pretty instantly with it. And then obviously we got later seasons and that just expanded the world, made it even better. But like the season 1 era, when the show wasn't as big as it is now, like it does feel special to revisit that time and be like, man, like they started so small scale and now it's like the biggest show in Netflix history. So yeah, I just fell in love with it pretty much from the jump, to be honest.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely agree. Season 1 was so fun to rewatch.
Yeah.
We had fun with our kind of deep dive of that. And I did too. Like just there was something about it. And I work with kids, so I feel like I didn't see myself in the kids, but I saw like the kids that I teach in like the little kids. So that was fun. And then like kind of saw myself a little bit more in the teenagers, even though I was a little bit older than them at that point. But just it's so easy for people to connect to. Like there's lots of different like entry points to find that connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the cool thing is my friend, I have a great friend, shout out Star Court Food Court. They're awesome what they do on social media. And he always tells me like when he goes to like the Stranger Things store or like is out at a convention and there's Stranger Things people there, he's like, if you look at the line of people like to meet the celebs, it's like you'll see like a 12-year-old kid, like a grandpa with his grandkids, like a 50-year-old dad. Like it spans generations truly, and I think that's how you know it's like going to be that classic show, like how people in the 1970s and 80s had Star Wars going to theaters. Like we're living in that with Stranger Things right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of just favorites. So I know that this is kind of tricky, and it might change. I feel like it changes for us all the time. But favorite season and then maybe favorite character.
That's so tough.
You can pick a couple if you want.
I'll be honest. I did a rewatch very recently of the show, and I made this decision. It's tough, but like favorite right now, I now say is season 3 for me. It was 4 forever, like because I was riding the wave of season 4, and I still love season 4, obviously. But 3 to me is the most rewatchable. Yep. It's the summer fun vibes are just unmatched, and it feels like the most distinctly 80s of the 4 seasons. So because of that, I find myself revisiting it the most. And it's just like, it's lighthearted by comparison to the other three, which is just sweet. I think Gaten Matarazzo said it's like the black sheep or something of the Stranger Things seasons once. He said that in an interview, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty true. Like, it's vibrant, colors are popping, and it just, like, we get Robin introduced, so we have like the Scoops Troop, we have, you know, the Hopper Joyce dynamic, so much I love about that season. So I'd say right now that's my favorite. Characters was the other question, right?
Yeah.
That's also brutal, but I usually give two answers, and I say it's like my 1A and 1B. That's what I've said forever, so I kind of cheat. 1A would be Hopper. You know, from the start, he's this lovable character who has, you know, this, he's carrying this baggage, this trauma, essentially, and you grow to love him over the course of the 4 seasons, and he kind of gets this second lease on life, like, multiple times. He obviously loses his daughter, but then he gets to, like, a chance at that again through 11. And then in season 4, he, like, comes back a new man in a way. And I'm curious to see, like, how his arc wraps up in season 5. And then the other would be Steve. I mean, come on. It's kind of a given. I say this a lot. It's kind of a joke. It's kind of not. I'm like, my toxic trait is I've liked Steve always.
Right?
Like, from the beginning, which is like, maybe I'm just a bad person. I don't know. His charm,
No,
Joe Keery's
we're all
charm.
right there with you.
So I'm like, I don't know, something about Joe Keery. So yeah, I Steve is right there, and his development has been awesome to see.
Yeah, definitely. We also, I mean, I don't think I had any super strong feelings about Steve in season 1. Like, I didn't really kind of like get into the show and like rewatching a lot until after season 4. But it's so cool to go back and watch season 1 knowing his whole full character arc, because then it does kind of like, you see that he was not a terrible person even in season 1. Like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're always apologizing for Steve in season 1.
Yeah. Steve apologists. I love it.
Yes, we are.
Gotta make those as t-shirts, guys. Come on now.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to.
So now, this is what I really wanted to get into with you, Chris. This is what I was looking forward to. What are your 3 predictions for season 5?
So I thought about this for a bit. One that I think for sure will happen, like, I've been back and forth on it, but let me explain. So I think almost with certainty Joseph Quinn will appear. Now, that doesn't mean I think that Eddie's for sure alive, but I think they would be almost foolish to not bring him back in some capacity, like a dream, a vision, flashback. Like, I would say if I could, like, bet on it, I would. Like, I think that he's going to show up in some way, shape, or form. Would you guys agree with that? Like,
100%.
Yeah.
They did it with Dacre Montgomery because his Billy character blew up so much. So I'm like, either it's going to be a flashback or a memory. They have to include him somehow. So I agree 100% with that.
I mean, I think so.
Even with Bob in season 3, the very beginning of season 3, he's there in like Joyce's little flashback. So it's like, I feel like between a flashback or something like that, or, I mean, for the longest time, I was like, definitely team, like, I'll just be delusional forever. He's not dead. But I feel like with the amount of time that's gone by since the end, it's like, I don't really like need that to happen as much, which like feels weird to say, but I just want it to like work for the story. And if it did work for the story that he didn't die, then I'd be happy with that too.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Like, something recently I've seen, like, it's trending on social media, but it's been like known technically for like a month or 2 now. Have you guys seen that some of the episode titles like might have leaked out there?
Yes.
Yeah. So we haven't really like discussed them on our show just because we were like,
that's fair.
I don't know how much like we should trust these, but we've definitely seen things that have confirmed the potential for them to be real. So we'll see. But you can talk about it.
Okay, cool. I just didn't know if you guys wanted to or not. So one of them, I believe, is called Escape from Camazotz. I've seen it catch traction more recently, but like when I saw that, I like immediately looked it up, and apparently it's like a Mayan god, and it's like in the shape of like a bat of death or something. And so I'm like I talked about that in a video right when it came out. I was like, this could very well be a return of Eddie, but also I have been separated from season 4 for so long now that it's like I'm fine if Eddie dies, but there was a period of time there where I was like, he's got to come back, right?
Yeah,
we didn't see like a funeral technically, or like the body get taken out of the upside down or anything.
Right. Well, and they've done that so many times too,
exactly.
with even like 11 in season 1, Hopper in season 3. So it's not like that would be out of the realm of possibility as well. So we'll see.
So I think Joseph Quinn's going to come back. The next one I have is less so about like what's going to happen in the show, more so how it's going to be released. And I think that, I don't know if you guys are fans of Cobra Kai, but they've recently said they're doing 3 parts. And I believe, I don't want it to be in 3 parts, but I think Stranger Things, the final season, will release in three parts instead of 2 like season 4.
Interesting.
Because I've been following the Cobra Kai creators, one of them, on Twitter, and he's been saying from the jump, like it's 15 episodes the final season, and it's going to be like 5 episodes each time, but he said they feel like distinct chapters, and so it's not like, oh, big cliffhanger ending, you have to wait. And so to me, and the other thing he said is that it's like we could have gone this route where we do 3 parts, or we wait until next year and drop it all at once. And he's like, I'd rather get some out to the fans right now and like spread it out than have to wait. And I think that because we've had to wait so long, between 3 and 4 and now 4 and 5, I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, hey, we're going to drop a 4 episode or a few episodes, like 2 or 3 episodes, because they're like an hour and a half probably. They're going to be very long. And they drop like 2 or 3 episodes next summer, and then maybe in the fall, and then like the finale at the end of, next year or something. So that's just a prediction I have. Could be off, but I think 3 parts, Netflix might be trying to adapt that model moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's like a guarantee that it's going to be at least 2 parts.
Yeah.
But 3 would be cool.
Because like Netflix in general has been doing all their shows in 2 parts lately. Like even ones where it's like, is this really necessary? Like, it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah. I just watched Bridgerton. That was 2 parts. Definitely. That's probably going to happen for sure.
Yeah.
So do you have another one?
I do. And it's not positive. I'm not gonna.
I think I already know what it is, but let's go. Yep.
I'm not going.
Moby?
I'm not going where you think you're going, because I've seen you guys discuss something that I'm not even going to bring up. I'm not going to bring that bad mojo to the podcast, but it still involves a character death though.
Okay.
And it's not what I want to happen, but I think narratively it would make sense. And I think 11 is going to die in the final season. I think that I've said this line so many times in videos, and I think that she, like, when she arrived in Hawkins, everything kind of got flipped upside down. And so the only way to get back to normal is for her to go away with everything. Yeah. And so I think that it would be very sad, but it would almost be like I almost just said something about the MCU that I won't say, but it would almost be like, it would just be a fitting sacrifice to sort of end the main hero going out to destroy the upside down, to bring everything back to normal. So I think that she could bite the dust.
I could see it happening,
I think it could go either way. Like I could totally see them having 11 right off into the sunset. Like, but maybe she loses her powers and she's like a normal, girl, and she has a relationship with Mike, and they're a happy family. That would be more satisfying. But
Right.
I could see them saying, hey, we have to kill someone, and it might just be 11. So I think someone will bite the dust. Like someone major will this time. Because last season, Eddie did, and Max kind of died. Not really. But someone, I think, will have to pay the price this season. There's no like saving them for a season 6 anymore. So I think that, someone's going.
Yeah,
exactly.
For sure. I don't want to think about it, but I do agree.
It's going to be so devastating.
Oh,
yeah, no matter what, because you love all of the characters so much. Like,
yeah, and like the reactions, no matter who dies, like if it's not one of your favorite characters, you might see your favorite character reacting to their death, and that's what's really going to hurt.
Yeah, and I feel like when Max, even though she didn't die in season 4, like I cried harder for her than I feel like I even did for Eddie the first time, like when I watched that. So it's like, yeah, no matter what, it's gonna be tough.
Oh yeah.
I put that little question box in my stories, and we just got a couple questions. So we don't really have to get into the lost sister too much, but some people were wondering if you think that Kali will come back in season 5.
That's tough. I honestly don't. I think there's a world where she comes back, but my biggest fear is that she returns and it's like a superhero team up where it's like she just kind of arrives out of nowhere. Like if she's coming back, I want them to own it from the jump and have her come in like the first or second episode and be like, she's a main character this season, and maybe that could redeem that episode for me because it is my least favorite. But I do think that if she were to come back, we would have seen her by now already. It's been 2 seasons without seeing her return, and I feel like the Duffer Brothers know the fan reception of that episode, and they're kind of like, let's let that one ride off. We're not going to address it again. So I don't think they're going to I don't think they're going to come back, or she's going to come back, or the gang. If anyone, just please her. The gang she was with was like super, just like so
right. Yeah. I feel like they were trying to do something and it could have been cool, but it just didn't land.
No.
So like the whole punk thing like was kind of interesting, but
yeah, not my thing.
No.
Somebody else asked, what are your favorite trailers? So you did bring up the season 1 trailer earlier with like the sprinkler. I guess there's more than one for each season too, and I'm not like a pro on like all of the trailers, but do you have any favorites?
Okay, so there's one that really surprising. It's for season 2. It's the one where like you can sort of hear like Thriller, and that one is so awesome. And I remember like when it dropped, I think they dropped it at Comic-Con or something, but like I remember watching it so many times that day, and there's like a shot of Steve at the party where he's like dancing like that. Like that was like my profile picture for a bit back in the day. But that trailer was awesome. It got like the spooky season vibes down to a T. That one, and then I have to mention in season 3 when they play a remix of Bob O'Reilly by the Who. Yeah, those two are like probably up there for me, just because the remix music is so well done.
Yeah, I love that. All the stuff for season 4, the remixes are amazing. Like the soundtrack is, I was actually like listening to that soundtrack in my car like constantly after season 4 came out. Like,
same. I still do, honestly. Like I'll throw it on if I'm in the mood.
Just turn it on sometimes.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about like music and stuff in the show. We definitely are huge fans. Have you read any of like the spin-off books, and do you have any like thoughts on that? Because I think what made me think of it was I think Callie is in like one of those books too. So have you kind of checked any of those out?
I have not, but I'm familiar with their existence. I just haven't read them. I know of a lot of the Flight of Icarus book. Like I think my girlfriend had read that one. And so I'm familiar with some plot points, but I haven't actually read any of them. And honestly, that's on me because I'm just not like a big reader. Like I always like, I'm going to read this book. And I end up reading like one book a year. And I prioritize like watching movies or shows or in the fall, like every Saturday, I'm watching college football all day. And so.
Well, you're not called book stock.
Yeah, exactly. Not book stocked. And also high school, I mean, reading in high school, like after that, I was like, I don't want to read ever again. It kind of ruined it for me. So that's on me. My girlfriend is the reader between the two of us. But no, I haven't read any of those books.
Okay. Yeah. I just think it's interesting because it's also like, I do like to read, but at this point, I don't think a lot of the stuff that happens in those books is really, it's like canon adjacent. Like it's not necessarily going to connect to anything in season 5. So I'm like, is it really worth reading if it's just going to confuse me? I feel like it's like the Star Wars, like there's like Star Wars novels that are like not canon anymore because of like the sequels and stuff like that. But also the play. So I guess the play sort of is very canon, and we have not talked about that at all either because we have both kind of like avoided spoilers and we would like to see it potentially, hopefully, when it comes to New York. So we're kind of avoiding that. But it's just interesting to get like more lore and like help come up with theories and stuff like that. So
yeah, the play, I really wish they would, and I think they will one day put it on Netflix. Like I feel like they have to, you know?
Like if it's that important for season 5, then I think people are going to have to be able to see it before then. So hopefully it comes to Netflix. I mean, I would love to see it live also.
Talking about the upcoming Upside Down convention, which is awesome. I know you and your girlfriend will be there. So very happy to see you. Have you met any of the Stranger Things cast members yet already?
I have. I actually wrote some down because there's two like unconventional picks. Yeah, let me just rattle this off. Okay.
Okay.
So Carrie Elway's technically in the Stranger Things cast.
Yep.
Briefly met him at Atlanta Comic-Con in 2022, like for a photo op. And he obviously plays Mayor Larry Klein in season 3.
Oh, okay.
But my girlfriend and I like the Saw movies. And so
Love those.
the first one in particular. And we were like, let's get a photo op with Carrie Elway. And then, of course, Princess Bride. So that's technically one. And then Sean Astin as well. Bob Newby, my girlfriend was getting the Hobbit Funko Pop sign, and so I like met him briefly. I said like hello, and then more recently was Gaten Matarazzo and Finn Wolfhard at MegaCon. Those guys were so sweet and awesome to meet, and I got Funko Pop signed because I love to get Funko signed, and so met them, and then I technically did meet Joseph Quinn, but it was like that. Like it's so quick when you're doing photo ops and then autographs as well. You get to say like hello, hi, how you doing? But at least at the fan expos, like they push you through because there's so many people there. And then I did meet Grace Van Dyne at that same convention in Dallas. And we got to talk to her for a little bit. She was sweet. So that's everyone I've met from the Stranger Things cast.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm
cool.
so excited to meet Gaten, and I hope Finn is there in October as well, because that would be really cool. Yeah. Stacy, you have like an unconventional one that you've met too. I always like to tell people.
Yeah. Robert Englund, Freddie Krueger,
wow. Yeah.
Victor Creel. I've met him a couple of times, and he's a talker, but every time I go, well, I met him first. I met him, Grace, and Joseph Quinn. So
nice.
3. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We met Joseph Quinn. Well, you met him in New Orleans before that. We've talked about this on the podcast a lot, but then we both met him in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Just like you said, for photo and autograph. And then I watched the panel, and he did a panel in Philly with Grace also. And then Sean Astin was there too. And I really wish I had like done like a photo op or something with him. And if I ever got the chance to again, I feel like I would. But I did watch his panel, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
very neat.
Yeah.
Those panels are really cool to like just see them, and like discuss with them. It's neat.
Yeah. So who are you looking forward to the most, I guess, of the guests that are like already announced for October? I mean, I'm sure you're pretty much like on the same wavelength.
Yeah, it's Joe Keery. I mean, come on. I like forever people would ask me like, who's your what celebrity you want to meet the most? And I'm like, Joe Keery, because of Steve Harrington, but also I love Joe, like his music. And so I'd Joe Keery. I mean, that's number one on the list. Like, it honestly doesn't feel real still that he's actually coming to a con. And like for me, I live in Georgia, so it's just like they're all coming into my state.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. So that is number one on that list. But I'd say right now, they recently announced Jamie Campbell Bower, and I hope to meet Jamie Campbell Bower as well. That would be awesome.
Super excited about that too.
Yeah, those are the two. And then Millie Bobby Brown, of course.
Oh, yeah. Who else are you hoping will attend this convention?
I really am, fingers crossed, that David Harbour announces. I know that he's filming, I think they just wrapped, but he was filming Thunderbolts and Stranger Things, like with Thunderbolts, the new MCU movie, like, so he was going back and forth between the sets. But David Harbour, like, please. That's like number one, and like I said, 1A, 1B for Hopper and Steve. Like, I want to meet David Harbour so bad. So that's like number one wish list for this con, David Harbour.
Yeah, same. I think that's my top other one as well. And then, I mean, obviously we would love if Joseph Quinn was there.
Yeah.
And then I think my other one would be like Sadie Sink. I would love to potentially get like a Sadie and Millie like duo like photo op. That would be so awesome. Fun. And just
Oh, now that I mention it, Maya Hawke would probably be number 2. Maya Hawke would be number 2, because I saw she did the con in Chicago, like her first one. I would love to meet her as well.
Yeah,
that
from
would be
my conversation with Alexis, I feel like they really want her as well too. So good chance. Hopefully it all works out. I actually saw Maya's show when she was like touring for her music in DC, which was really cool. I didn't get to like meet her or anything, but I was in the same space as her and got to watch her perform, which was really fun.
That is cool.
Which I know, Chris, I know you saw Inside Out too. How was she as an anxiety?
Oh, she crushed it. She was like the standout voice performance for me because if you've seen like Maya Hawke in interviews or just like in general in clips, you know, it's like she's playing the part just so well. Like she doesn't have to change much. Like she just has that personality already. And so she was great in it. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to like my friend's house and she has kids. So I like made them turn on Inside Out because I've never seen it, but then we didn't finish it. So I'm like, I need to finish this movie so that I can see Inside Out too.
Yeah, you should. I mean, the first Inside Out, it's got that Pixar effect where like it has me crying every time I watch it. You know how Pixar can do that? So
yeah, I think I saw a spoiler because Maya Hawke was like doing an interview and I just saw like a clip, but they were talking about somebody dying and I was like, now I have a spoiler for Inside Out.
I'm telling you. So I had to like screen this movie a million times because I teach a class of social emotional learning. Okay. And the kids are all like, oh, that part was so sad. And I like forgot for a second that I was in front of second graders. So I swiveled in my chair and I went, you guys haven't seen a Disney movie? Somebody dies like in every Disney movie. And they all went dead quiet. And I was like, swivel back to the screen and act like that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And it's true.
It's like, have you guys seen The Lion King? That one gets me. Yeah, come on now.
That is true. I feel like those movies are supposed to be for kids and they're
this
like
is why we're all screwed up, guys. You know?
Trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma.
So we usually do a merch segment. So we talk about merch and you said that you like to get Funko Pop signed. Do you have any other like collections or like merch that you enjoy for the show?
So I have some like collectible things like prop type stuff. Actually, I have like the thinking cap. Like I like to get little trinkets like that. So I have like a Hawkins High School pennant. I have some roller blades, actually roller skates that were sent by a company. One of them is like customized. I'm looking at it right now. It's over there. It's got like blood on it. It's like the skate that
We've
11
talked
hits
about
Angela.
those. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's cool.
So that's really neat. And then mainly just Funko Pops. Like I love those things. I don't know what it is. Growing up, I had like a ton of Star Wars toys. And so it's like, it's not a toy, but it's just like, I don't know. When I'm an adult, like collecting stuff is just cool. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
Amen.
Like it's just nice to be able to get what I want to get. And it's like, this is my thing. And I don't care what anyone thinks. It's just cool to display on a shelf. It's just awesome to look at it. It's comforting. So
what are your top 3 favorite Stranger Thing pops that you own?
Ooh, I would say one of them is the one my girlfriend has, but I'm gonna count it anyway. It's the Steve season 1 pop where he's the bat, but he's also like bruised. That one is just so cool. I think she's gonna get it signed by Joe Keery as well. One I have that I really like is a Vecna pop. It's the one of him like in flames. Like it's Vecna in flames. That one's neat. And then I also have it's so tough. I really like the Robin and Nancy 2-pack from season 4 when they go to Penhurst, right?
Yeah,
Penhurst
yeah.
Asylum. That's when they go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like in disguise as Ruth or whatever. Ruth and
their outfits are so funny.
Yeah, that pop pack is cool.
That's awesome.
That's cool. I don't know that I've seen that. I'm like a newbie to Funko Pops also, but I've definitely gotten bit by the bug.
One of us.
I said a couple
They're
weeks
addicting.
ago.
They are addicting.
Yeah, because I'm like, now I need all of the Steve Pops and all of the Eddie Pops.
Yep. I want them all, like every Stranger Things pop
all
eventually.
of the Robin ones. Like,
yeah.
And then I want all of the Elle ones and I'm just,
It's a problem. Like, it's a problem. Yep.
It is. It's really addicting.
So the last thing we usually do is filming updates just from like the past week. So we did have a couple things that kind of came through. So I figured we could talk about that and kind of get your thoughts on them as well. So we saw that they are going to be casting young versions of Will, Mike, and Jonathan. So do you have any thoughts about that?
I think I'm making a video about this soon. I believe that it's like, I mean, obviously it guarantees there's going to be some sort of flashback, but I wonder, those 3 characters in particular, like I wonder if it's going to potentially flesh out anything like it has to be fleshing out maybe Will like having feelings for Mike from like a young age, maybe.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know if they're gonna go that route or not. I'm just trying to think, like, or, and this is just off the top of my head, what if there's like moments from back then, from even back then, where like something, you know, from the Upside Down was like already, like Will was already having, like there was more signs than we thought that Will was gonna be the one that was taken, because I think this season will retcon a lot of things, and I'd have to look at like the actual dates, but we know like how old they are in, you know, season 1 compared to whenever this flashback could be, and then comparing that to like Henry Creel's storyline, tying in maybe potential events from the play, like if that could all line up or not. I trust the Duffers to pull stuff like that off. Another thing I've seen is like time travel, which would be pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
We what was that kind of theory we came up with, Stacy, with like Back to the Future?
Our Back to the Future 2 theory, that we think we might be seeing things that we saw in the previous seasons, but in a different point of view.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
So,
right?
and we kind of connected it to like, you know, the songs that they had on those like little things on at the set with like the QR codes that came out like when they first started filming.
Team
I don't know if
Steve,
you remember what I'm
Steve
talking
John.
about.
Yeah.
Like, so when we were watching season 1, it was like the I Wear My Sunglasses at Night or whatever is playing as Steve is like driving the car to Nancy's house, and we were like, well, what if like that song is like we're gonna see it from somebody else's point of view, and like Steve drives by with like that song playing.
That would be pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, that would be really cool.
So we were like, maybe these songs have something to do with it too. But I was gonna say, I always think about like, I think it's in season 2 when Will or Mike is talking to Will about like when they first met on like the swing sets or whatever. Like I'm assuming like that, I don't know, when I heard like younger versions, I was like, maybe we're going to see that scene of like them first meeting for the first time. But I can't remember if that was supposed to be in like, I think they're supposed to be like 8 in this, which would not be kindergarten.
Yeah, well,
in these flashbacks. So I don't know.
What's fascinating to me is that we've seen from Ross Duffer's Instagram, we've seen the posts of
that's
like
what I was thinking too.
young child next to Noah Schnapp as Will, and like why, like if they're going that route, I feel like they could just de-age, or they could just like de-age anyone to make them look 8. I don't know. That might be too. If depending on how long the scene is, it could just it could be really expensive to do, and B, it could just look a little wonky. But I feel like I don't know. Yeah, that flash. We know we're going to get young Will already, you know, in this time of the Upside Down, but that's going to be like season 1 era Will. So to go before that, maybe it could be a little too difficult to like use the CGI on the face. So maybe they'll just use different actors completely.
Yeah, I was wondering that same thing as well. Okay, so what about the kind of speculation that we're getting a potential update soon? So I guess all the social media accounts have cleared their bios. There was also, I always say his name wrong, but like Sean Levy. Is it Levy?
Levy?
I always thought it was Levy, but then someone once said it's Levy, and so I've just gone with Levy ever since. But it seems wrong to me, to be honest. But
I
Levy,
usually say
guess.
Levy also, but I'm not sure why. But yeah, he said in that interview that we might find out something soon. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so when that video clip dropped, everyone was like, oh, that means that when this video's out that we're watching, it's going to mean we'll have some sort of announcement. And I was always like, I feel like he's referring to Deadpool and Wolverine, which is July 26th, so in about a month. And I do believe that, I just saw this right now, actually. I think that if we get something, because we haven't yet, it could be on the anniversary of Stranger Things Season 1 hitting Netflix, which I think was July 15th or 16th. We could get like
I had that written down. Yeah. As like an important date. So that would be fun.
Like my buddy sent me this for season 4. They did like the like official announcement, and a lot of it was just like footage from seasons past, but at the very end it was like it showed like a clock, and then we saw like a shot of 11 when she's like with Dr. Owens, like, and then a quick shot of them in the Creel house, and it could be like just really quick shots, and then it could say like it said 2022 in that video, I believe, and so it could say 2025. You know, for the final season.
That would be
cool. It could
be
like a 30-second thing.
Chills, man.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Right?
And I feel like it would be fun because I would definitely want to, like, if they used like old footage, I'm sure it would be like footage that's going to mean something in the new season, that's going to be important. So we could definitely like overanalyze that.
Yes.
Whatever
I will overanalyze every trailer, every raw stuff or Instagram post. It's so much fun to just dive in to the madness, because a lot of the theories are like, this is like probably never going to happen, but it's fun to speculate. It can't hurt to speculate.
Exactly. That's how we feel too.
Yeah.
So the last thing I did see that was kind of fun, and we don't always talk about like, you know, like we talked about like stuff that's been recorded from like filming and everything, but I saw that they're filming in that cemetery where like Billy's tombstone was, and they had Steve's car kind of like driving through the cemetery. So that was kind of cool. I can't remember where I saw that video. I like see things and then I forget to like save them, but we've been like talking a lot about Steve's car in like all these filming updates, because they actually did share a photo of Steve's car like on the official channels or whatever. So I feel like it's gonna play a big part.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like in you know, dating back to like those previous gifts that the Duffers put out, like it's going to be tied into somehow the radio station, I believe, with like the antenna and everything. And I the Steve Mobile, pretty much, it's going to be like important. I don't know. It's hard to piece together what the plot's going to be, but somehow I believe that like signals it's going to play a part in like the destruction, or like messing with the upside down
the radio
somehow.
waves.
Yeah. Something with the something like that.
Yeah. So let's ask Chris about the sunroof. Did you know that Steve's car has a sunroof?
I did not know that. No.
Because
I never really paid that much attention.
Chris, I'm not even kidding you. She sends me that text. She was like, oh, I saw it on Discord. Like, he has a sunroof. And I know a little bit about cars. And I go, you're full of shit. No. Next thing you know, I'm trying to prove her wrong. And I'm sending her like shots and screenshots. And I'm going, I don't see it. And then finally she goes, look at this shot. And I go, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Well, because when we first saw Steve's car with like the radio thing in it, people were like, he let Dustin drill a hole in his roof? Like, what is this? But I guess we figured out that model of car did often have a sunroof. And the scene that you could really see it, I think it's open, is when he's driving Robin to work in season 4.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those sunroofs that like when it's shut, it's the same color at the top. Like it's like metal cover. So like in a lot of shots, you can't really tell that it has a sunroof. So that's what the radio thing is coming out of.
Yeah. I never really realized that, actually. So that's interesting.
It's still sour. It's still sour. Just saying.
Stacy doesn't like it when I prove her wrong.
And she's done it many a times. That was like one time I go, well, Lover's Lake is Lake Jordan. And she goes, no, it's not. It's 2 separate places. And I go, you're full of shit. And she literally went back and showed me. And I'm like, I've met my match.
We sat here on the podcast like arguing. Let me watch this scene and like show it to you.
For me, like if I get a trivia question wrong, like I've done trivia with like my girlfriend, like I'll get very like upset with myself.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah. Trivia at the convention. Could you imagine? It would be a bloodbath, guys.
It would be.
Yeah, it'd be horrible.
That would be so fun though.
Yeah.
I want to win.
Yeah,
that would be fun. That would be fun.
Right?
We'll suggest it. Tell Alexis we want to have trivia.
Trivia battle, trivia night.
Right.
Yeah.
I have Joe Keery on my team. He's getting everything wrong. And I'm like, what's the matter with you?
Joe, you didn't study.
That's great.
But this was so fun.
So much fun.
Thank you so much for joining us.
It was a blast.
We're so excited to meet you in October. I'm excited to see more of your videos that you have planned for things coming out soon. And I'm sure we'll stay in touch.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a blast. Thank you guys for having me on. I love what you do. And I'm looking forward to the Upside Down Con. The countdown is on.
Yes, it is.
The countdown is on.
Yeah, we really don't want our summer to fly by, but this year is like the one year we'll make an exception.
Yep.
But also I feel like the anticipation is so much fun that I always get like disappointed then when the actual event comes. And I feel that way with season 5 too. Like I'm not rushing it, like, because once it's here, that's it.
Yeah, it's like the last
let's just
off
have
season.
fun
Yeah.
while
I
it's
agree.
not here yet.
I agree.
So, yeah. So, all right. Well, I think that's it.
No, I think we're good. Thank you so much, Chris. You were a ball to talk to.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was great to chat.
All right, guys. Well, a very special thanks to Chris. That was a very fun interview. So much fun speaking with a fellow Stranger Things fan.
It was awesome. We just had the best time. It was such a fun conversation. And Chris is great.
Exactly.
We
He's
love
awesome.
him. We love him. Yes.
And that was the perfect way to send off this season. This is episode 25, ladies and gentlemen, of the Skull Rock broadcast. It has flown by, honestly, if you've asked me. So what we're going to be doing is, the plan is we're going to take the next couple of weeks off, and then we're going to pick back up, and we are going to be starting our season 2, as well as our season 2 deep dive. So lots of fun things planned for that, as well as more announcements and interesting developments. Lots of fun stuff that we have planned for the summer of Skull Rock. So we cannot wait, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to be together this weekend. I will see you on Friday at Brandy's. So we're super excited to see A Quiet Place Day 1, see our main man, Joseph Quinn, on the big screen.
What a man. Yep. What a mighty fine man.
And we do have our Patreon that is been super exciting. We appreciate everybody who's joining so far. And we are going to do a live. So a fun little holiday pre-4th of July celebration. So if you would like to come watch our very first YouTube live, it's going to be chaos because
total shit show. Yeah.
We're going to be figuring it out. Plus, like, we edit this show, guys, so you don't always get to see or hear, I guess, everything that happens between us. So
yeah, you have to see the warts and all, guys. Jesus, help you.
So that's going to be July 3rd, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely join us on Patreon before that. Find us on social media if you are listening because of Chris. Thank you for tuning in. We are at Skull Rock Broadcast. We're most active on Instagram, but you can also find us pretty much everywhere: TikTok, Twitter. And also, I am Megan, Steady Stories on Instagram, and Stacy is Stay Still Reviews. For our regular listeners, we're not doing our little secret segment today, but there's going to be lots of bonus content on Patreon soon. So look for another bonus episode on that. Probably this week, maybe next week. We'll see. And we will talk to everybody soon. So thanks so much for listening.
Over and out, guys.
Over and out.